2-sentence horror stories generated by artificial intelligence. I screamed and screamed as I watched the flames engulf my home. The firemen didn't listen to me as I screamed and screamed for help. I had a nightmare that I was being eaten by a monster. I woke up to find my body in a pool of blood. He never dreamed of himself dying like this. She did. I thought that hanging myself was the best solution. Until the pain wouldn't stop. I thought it would be funny to watch my wife die. It's a shame as she's a great actor. Death didn't hurt at all. Rotting did. I was alone in the forest, my eyes glazed over with fear as I realized my mistake. I'm not a deer. I was sitting in my bedroom, listening to the music when I heard the crack of a baby monitor. I looked out the window and saw my wife's head hanging there. It's day 4 of the nuclear holocaust. So why can't I see my family? Sometimes I catch myself staring at my reflection in the mirror. Usually it's just a reflection. It's funny how people tend to think the human body is a mirror. I always thought it was just a mask. When I took a shower, I found a note in my bag. It read, "I'm sorry. I keep hearing someone calling my name. I am deaf. Being dead is lonely. But after tonight, I'll have my family back again." What's the difference between a baby and a cat? Not the taste, surprisingly, but the size. I always thought the best way to kill a monster was by drowning them in water. But I never thought the worst way to kill a monster was by drowning them in water. I was horrified when I saw my daughter's eyes staring back at me from the other side of the glass. It was so odd that I had to take her out of the freezer. Scientists were baffled when the first human was discovered in the depths of the ocean. It was a shock to discover that the first human was alive. He's always behind you, even when you turn around. I'm a serial killer. I'm not afraid of the police. There's a monster under my bed. I just wish it had stopped crying. Every night I wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of my wife's voice coming from the closet. I don't know what's worse, the sound of her screaming or the fact that she's still there. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, I said as I pulled the trigger. I was just waiting for the police to arrive, and I was scared to death when they started screaming. It's a shame that the police found a body in my backyard. I just wish they'd stop digging up my grave. I can hear my wife crying in the corner of our room. I just wish she didn't hear me screaming. I was so excited to finally see the first human being on Earth. I wasn't expecting them to turn out to be a bit more terrifying. It's been 2 weeks since my daughter died. I'm still trying to figure out why she keeps crying. I'm sorry, I said, but I don't know how to fix this. I looked down at my wife, her face contorted in horror. I'm sorry, I said, but I don't know how to fix this. As a child, I used to love watching the stars. Now, I wish they would stop staring at me. I shouldn't have laced the almonds, but they taste so good. It wasn't my first time seeing the man with the knife. It was the second time I saw him. I looked down at my daughter's lifeless body and saw the blood-curdling screams of her family. I felt a twinge of relief when I realized the doctors had already removed the last of her organs. She actually just wanted almonds. I just wish she'd stop crying. Yo, WTF. I thought I was going to die. My mother was dead. Was until I found her body in my basement. Make contact with person. Person is dead. I'm sorry, I said, but you can't leave me alone. I looked at the empty room, and the empty room was empty. My brother and I have been playing hide and seek with his friends for the past week. I'm starting to think he's just hallucinating. There's a strange man in my closet. He's always there, always smiling. When I was a kid, I used to have a dream where I was walking down the street and saw a man standing over me. Now, as I'm walking down the street and I see a man standing over me, I wish I could remember that dream. I saw a man with a knife in the corner of my room. I was horrified to see him, but I was also horrified to see myself in the mirror. I told my wife I was going to kill her. She said she was going to kill me too. The doctor said the infection was getting worse. But I knew the worst part was that I was the only one who could see the monster. I can hear my wife's voice through the window. I wish I could, but I can't find her. I came home from work to find my wife's body hanging from the ceiling. I'm starting to think she was murdered. I thought the worst part about being buried alive was that I would never see my wife again. But when I found her body, I knew I was done for. I used to think that my dad was a monster, until I found out he was a serial killer. It wasn't the smell of burning flesh that scared me. It was the fact that I was still alive. I watched in horror as my wife and children were killed in a car crash. I was horrified to learn that I was the one who killed them. Please don't hurt me, my wife cried in tears. I screamed and cried as the blood started pouring from her head.